In a world obsessed with cutting edge science, supplements, and steroids, it's ironic that many modern gym physiques, on average, haven't surpassed those from over 50 years ago. For all the self appointed gurus, their relentless focus on minutiae, this trend of so called training optimization is keeping people weak, confused, and frustrated. The golden era marked a period of discovery in bodybuilding. New ground was continually broken, and many theories battle tested on the gym room floor. Yet it seems that some of these time tested old school methods have become an almost forgotten art. One style I keep coming back to year after year is Serge Nubray's pump training. When I first saw Serge Nubray in pumping iron, his incredible lines, proportions, and symmetry left an indelible mark, and Nubray's aura of mystique created an unforgettable resonance among fans of golden era bodybuilding. Nubray's rebellious streak against conventional thinking in training and diet set him apart, earning him recognition as one of those undeniable faces on the Mount Rushmore of aesthetics. And while many hailed Arnold as the GOAT, I've heard many more aspire to emulate Nubray's physique. Serge rejected that California life, and his many clashes with the IFBB guaranteed he'd never win in an Olympia. Yet he's the only bodybuilder to hold 6 world titles in 4 federations. Maintaining a physique that closely replicated his second place Olympia finish at age 37, Nubray was still guest posing deep into his 50s. His astounding career longevity aside, Nubray's 5 to 6 hour long gym sessions and work ethic were legendary. As Frank Zane once stated, there were times when he would literally work out all day. He'd get to the gym at 8 or 9 a.m. and train until noon. He'd go for lunch and then return back to the gym to train for another few hours. After that, he'd get dinner at 5 and then come back for his nighttime workout. It would be a 12-hour day centered on training. Favoring a lighter weight, higher volume approach, Serge's goal for every workout was forcing as much blood as possible into the muscle to achieve a skin-stretching pump. Yet Nubray was definitely no slouch in the strength department. Serge could reportedly bench 500 pounds. Once mocked at a powerlifting meet for not being as strong as he looked, Serge took the winning 1-rep max, repped out a set of 8 to 10 in front of stunned onlookers, humiliating the guy and proving a point in the process. Incredibly strong and no doubt building his foundation under that same heavy iron, Nubray believed that heavy weights just weren't as effective for refining and maintaining his famed physique. But it's all genetics and drugs, I hear you cry. While genetics load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger, and more than that, Nubray argued that it was his passion and love for the iron, cultivating a strength of mind and spirit that underpinned everything he did in the gym. One thing I've discovered doing this for over 30 years is that as long as you apply consistency and effort to your training, everything works as long as you do. And yet while everything works, nothing works forever. Your routine can often become your prison if dogmatically applied, without listening to your body and auto-regulating when required. Serge was all about developing this intuitive mindset, stating, "To be a good bodybuilder, you need to be a good observer." Serge considered bodybuilding more an art than an immutable science. "My body doesn't listen to articles or scientists. You think that science knows more about your body than your body itself? Listen to yourself before listening to others." While science manipulates the interplay between variables, the sets, the reps, the rest periods, etc., managing the intuitive self-mastery via auto-regulation is the elusive art that many of us ignore, tuning it out from the noise of only that which can be measured and quantified. But to achieve a similar level of longevity that Serge enjoyed, either you auto-regulate your training when needed, or your own body will make that choice for you, leading to stagnation, burnout, or injury. Fans of high-intensity training often misappropriate Lee Haney's famous saying, "Stimulate, don't annihilate." But Haney wasn't referring to lowering the volume. Haney used a lot of volume. He was referring to dialing down the intensity without incessantly grinding yourself into the ground. Balls-to-the-wall failure training has destroyed as many physiques as it's helped create, especially when those loyal high-intensity devotees can't or won't take their foot off the intensity pedal. Plainly stated, you simply can't bash your system chasing heavy weights and failure training session after session. On the other hand, you also can't rely solely on incessant amounts of volume. Training is an interrelated and nuanced dance between the two. Less is sometimes more, but quantity often has a quality all of its own. You've probably noticed this in your own training. After a period of high volume, you may stagnate or burn out. You drop the volume, switching to higher intensity, and, miracle upon miracles, you start making progress again. Conversely, high-intensity training often digs you into a hole of mental exhaustion and joint pain. You dial down the intensity, add some volume, and progress resumes. Charles Poliquin described this method of alternating phases of periodization as intensity and accumulation. You focus on building strength and progressive overload in the intensity periods, and then you transmute those gains into hypertrophy via the volume or accumulation phases. Vince Gironda likewise preached high-density volume training, labeling it as progressive muscle fiber exhaustion, an effective means to provide a stimulus to a body already adapted to the demands of heavy iron. New Bray's pump training focuses on pure hypertrophy periods, giving the body and a mind a break with lighter weights, higher reps, lower overall intensity, and avoiding training to deliberate failure. Easing up on the high intensity hits the reset button on my systemic recovery every time. My appetite improves, accumulated aches and pains disappear, and my progress and mental motivation kickstart again in a positive direction. With any method, you need to recognize its principles over strict adherence to cookie-cutter templates. Serge followed a process, but varied its execution as per his individual needs. Pump training typically consists of 4 to 5 exercises per body part, 6 to 8 sets per exercise, using a weight you can do 20 reps with, but performing about 12 per set. The goal is to maintain the same weight for each set with short rest periods of 30 seconds to 1 minute. The workout continues until you start to lose the pump. Again, you need to observe and listen to your body. Start small and build the volume up gradually over time. Avoid grinding the reps and hitting failure, lowering the weight if necessary to maintain that good pump. So a chest workout might look as follows: bench press 8 sets of 12, dumbbell flies 6 sets of 12, incline press 8 sets of 12, cable crossovers 6 sets of 12, finishing up with dumbbell pullovers for 6 sets of 12. With its high volume and rapid pace, I found pump training an excellent way for building work capacity, which entails priming the body's tolerance for handling greater workloads, stress, and more weight in future intensity blocks. Some might say that it's hard to progressively overload volume-based workouts, and while you won't be hitting max PRs using pump training, it's amazing how quickly you can add weight to the bar week after week, even if it's just a couple of pounds. Another way to overload pump training is by decreasing the rest periods over time to improve session density. While the evidence-based crowd are now advocating longer rest periods as more optimal for growth, short rest periods are invaluable for maintaining what Serge described in French as machant, that lost art of concentration and focused tunnel vision on the crucial mind-to-muscle connection. Pump training is likewise an antidote to the ubiquitous interset phone surfing that's so prevalent in gyms these days. You simply won't have time for diddling around with your phone during this style of workout. Yet another advantage of pump training I've found is during a cutting phase or pre-contest, as an effective means to mitigate the use of pointless cardio. Think back to how many cardio machines and treadmills you spotted on the gym room floor scenes of pumping iron. That fast-paced, high-volume nature of pump training contributes more to fat loss and retention of muscle than hours wasted on the steady-state hamster wheel. Serge also included an obligatory 1-hour, 2,000 sit-ups routine performed every day. And if you have the time, energy, and access to the same methamphetamine Serge used, let us know how that works out for you. Serge was also known for his unconventional eating regimen, stating, "Look at the cows that eat all day. Now look at the panther that eats once a day. Which one looks in better shape?" Favouring a lower carb 1 to 2 meals per day, Serge preferred a few kilos of horse meat, rice and beans for his evening meal. No supplements, no protein powder, just real food. And alternatively, if your appetite is lacking on a bulk, pump training can help stimulate hunger, especially when training twice a day. Another advantage of pump training is reducing the risk for injury. It's rejuvenating rather than draining. I feel absolutely fantastic at the end of each session, ready to go again later that same day or the next, instead of feeling trashed or requiring an extra recovery day. It's a program you could use well into your later training years, just as Serge did. You can use it before or when the desire to train Dorian style no longer appeals to your accumulated training pains and shattered nervous system. Given these time-tested results from someone like myself who's very genetically average, I can confidently say that a 2-month stint of Nubrae's pump training might just be the ticket to recharge your training, helping you burn some fat and tapping into some unrealized muscle potential. You might also realize a nice rebound when you return to heavier low volume, high intensity training from the improved work capacity and alleviation of systemic fatigue. If nothing else, you will walk around with that ever-present pump feeling, which is also a cool side benefit of this training style. As part of a pure hypertrophy program aimed at building muscle, I find adapting periods of pump training as being tremendously fun and productive. With all the garbage advice that's endlessly debated in the social media space, it's important to keep in mind that the fitness industry exists to overcomplicate. Profits are found in the margins of the minutiae, confusion, and contradiction. And while people agonize over a wheel that's already been invented, simplicity, effort, and consistency have and always will be the ultimate path to optimization. So maybe we should take a leaf out of the time-tested ideas of someone like Serge Nubret. Those guys made something out of nothing, caring less about what was quantifiable and more about what worked. Keep an open mind, and as Bruce Lee advised, take what's useful and discard the rest. So give pump training a try and share your experiences in the comments. And for more guidance and resources on setting up this kind of training, check out the links in the description. And if you do need personalized assistance with diet, programming, and accountability, explore my coaching services below. Thanks for watching.